Shalom Yasharallah. First and foremost, I want to say all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Racha HaKodah. Oh my gosh, that bright light shit. Let's start over. I want to say all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Racha HaKodah. Double honors to the apostles and elders of the house of David. Salutations to you brothers throughout the four corners of the earth, teaching this truth and righteousness and sincerity. To you Israelite foreigners, come back home to the truth. To those that passed on, serving the Lord, the dead in Yahweh shall rise first. To you sisters who believe, keep encouraging and supporting your brothers who are here teaching this truth, and always commemorate the sister who washed Yahweh Shah feet when you read the scriptures. All right, I want to talk to y'all about, one of the topics that I hate the most in the world, which is money. Why do I have to talk to y'all about money? Because one thing I've been noticing since I came in this truth is, money makes everything awkward. And it's not just the truth. Think about when you start talking to a chick. I'm going to tell you a couple of relationships that never took off because of money. I was at the bar one time a few months ago. And a lot of y'all think I'm this social butterfly. I went to the bar by myself. And there's this one bar that I go to called Blue Ribbon, right? It's in Hillside, New Jersey. And one of the bartenders, I kind of like her, I ain't gonna lie. She did cough up the number, but that doesn't guarantee she likes me back. But, so, anyway. So I was in the corner by myself drinking and occasionally flirting with her whenever she came around. And she pours me up like crazy, bro. She don't even charge me for it. I shouldn't be saying this on camera but whatever. So there was a chick that was kind of, the way the bar is kind of like an L shape. And I was in the little part of the L. And there was this chick that was right, on the other side of the corner, right? Close enough for me to hear her. So she called me over. She wanted to talk because I guess I looked like I had money. She didn't say this, of course, but ultimately, we followed each other on social media, and she's talking about marrying for money, and like every post is about basically a man taking care of her financially, so it's like, that's a no-go. And then I met another chick off of a black version of Tinder. And I really be there trying to find some, an occasional person to really be with, not necessarily, not to smash, because I can find that anywhere. Fucking, look what world we're living in. But anyway, so I met a chick off of that. We hadn't even met yet, and she was already oversharing her personal problems with me. I mean, I'm talking about like we didn't even know each other 3 days yet, and she's already telling me all these personal problems that she's got, many of which are money related. We met up and we hit it off, but still with the oversharing problem shit. So a day later, she texted me. We were talking, and then she said, "Lunch on you." So I was like, you know what? This ain't gonna work out because it's just too early. I don't mind. Trust and believe. When I'm in a relationship or if I'm in a better space with a woman than that, but not one that I haven't known a whole week. You're already asking for lunch, and the way you're doing it is fucking lunch on you. Like, so. That's just two examples of women that came across a little too beggy. What's her name? Beggy Bundy. So, how much more is it when a man, especially in the truth, we have a lot of I've seen a lot of men in the truth get awkward over money. It's not one man's job to feed another man. It isn't. You know, I think that we put ourselves in an advantageous position to request money. But the truth of the matter is, you know, us men in Israel, we should have our own income, our own jobs or businesses. Because that makes it very awkward. Money makes situations awkward. Money makes, you know, I'm in a situation right now where somebody has borrowed a crazy amount of money from me. And it's taking their sweet fucking time and not paying it. There's a whole code of ethics to borrowing and loaning money and shit. A whole code of ethics, like a whole bunch of rules that for best results you should follow. One of them is don't let a week go by. If you owe me money, you should remind yourself. I remember a brother one time borrowed money from me and then constantly was asking me how much he owes me. Why do you not know how much you owe? I could lie and say you owe me double what you owe me. You know what I'm saying? Fortunately, you're dealing with men that are really in the truth and really don't, you know, we better not look to screw nobody over for fucking money. But when it comes down to borrowing money, you have to show that you're serious about paying it back. You can't forget it, and you can't forget the amount. And you have to be the one to verbally say it. It's up to you to tell the person you borrowed from. You know, and this is one thing that I've noticed in and out of the truth. It's not just people in the truth. It's not just brothers. And I've come to notice that it's brothers that are good brothers, that are not, you know, necessarily bad akim, you know. But you can hurt your reputation by being that way, by borrowing and not reminding the person and not paying. More important than reminding a nigga that you know that you owe them money is to actually pay it. I'm in a situation right now, I told y'all, with you know, a person that I do business with, I'll say. They borrowed a ton of money from me and they don't even mention it. And then what's worse is, oh, can you loan me this amount of money? I'll pay you back Wednesday. So you have money to borrow more money from me and pay that back, but what about the greater debt? So when you borrow money, you have to be very much in communication with the person you borrowed from to either reassure them that you're paying or to pay. And because it's quick, it's very easy for somebody to get in their head that you're using them or taking advantage of them or whatever. It's very easy. And even if it is only in their head, you have to do what you have to do to avoid the awkwardness of it. You can't be awkward. You can't. You know, you have to communicate. You have to say, yo, I know I owe you this. I got you. Next paycheck, I'm gonna do that, or at least start paying it off. You know, at least say, hey, can I pay you? Because I know people hate to loan somebody a big amount of money and then get it back in smaller doses. But hey, if that's the way you're gonna get it paid off to me, I would take smaller, you know, little money here and there. But that's a personal, that's, you know, if that's how you like to do, you know, or you're okay with that. But all that fucking awkwardness that comes with money, brothers in the truth, all of you brothers in the truth have to be circumspect, be mindful. Money makes everything awkward. You know, you don't mind. I don't personally mind if a brother says Shah is wicked because he keeps the Sabbath based on the new moon. You know, if you think that that's the wrong way and you're one of them Friday sundown and Saturday sundown Israelites, more power to you. You know, I'd rather that. Don't never fucking think that I took advantage of you financially. Don't ever think that I, you know, because I don't ask nobody for shit, honestly. Because of that reason. You know, there's a scripture we actually read yesterday. that I wanted to hit on now that I'm parked. It's a great scripture. I forgot all about it. You know, sometimes we read so much of the Bible that, you know, you tend to forget. Oh, here you go. All right, so I'm going to read it, right? It's Ecclesiasticus or Sirach 29:2. Lend to thy neighbor. You know what? I'm not facing the bright side of the street. Lend to thy neighbor in the time of his need, and pay thou thy neighbor again in due season. So clearly the scriptures are telling you, you know, loan money, but if you borrow money, pay it the fuck back in due season. Keep thy word and deal faithfully with him. One thing I notice in life, when it comes down to, and I'm going to use the person that I'm dealing with, you know, so-called friend of mine that has borrowed all that money from me. They don't keep their word. They don't deal faithfully. They come to you humble when they want to borrow money. But when you want your money back, oh, like I'll tell you another example. A fucking former roommate of mine. Anybody that knows me knows who that is, because I have my daughter make fun of him all the time. That motherfucker used to borrow, you know, or I'd buy him something, whatever, with the agreement he'll pay me back, and he'll forget to pay me back. When I ask for it back, he'll be like, hey, you know, I'll give you your funky money back. That money wasn't funky when you fucking borrowed it, though. So we have to deal faithfully. We can't be one way when we borrow money and then another way when we're asked to pay it. You shouldn't be asked to pay money back. If somebody has to remind you owe money, I'm sorry, but that you dealt very fucked up. You know, it said, and thou shalt always find the thing that is necessary for thee. So I got people that I will never loan another dollar to again, because they have already, matter of fact, I'm going to use another example of a friend of mine borrowed money one month, paid it right back, like quicker than he said he would. Second time he borrowed money, it took over a month for me to get it back. Mind you, it was the month after that. And then this person, when I was dealing with my father's heart attack, this same person asked me to borrow money a third time. I think he's learned his lesson. He's never asked me again. He asks another friend. And thou shalt always find the thing that is necessary for thee. Somebody that loans you money and you pay them back and you're very communicative, you don't try to beat them, they will always likely be open to loaning you money or to helping you. Once you start breaking communication and forgetting that you owe and having to ask how much you owe, now you're fucking up. Now you're breaking the friendship. You broke the friendship by doing that. You know, it's then reading on, it says, many, when a thing was lent to them, reckoned it to be found and put them to trouble that helped them. So I'm interested in purchasing either a home or a condo. I just simply don't like paying rent. You know, I do it because, I mean, where the fuck else I'm going to do it? And I pay rent on time. I'm a great rent payer. I have actually a huge fucking credit. I can stop paying rent for, well, no, I can't really. The credit ain't that huge where it's a whole month, but I have a credit on my rent, you know, whatever. But I don't, you know, long story short, this person has used my credit cards and has borrowed an insane amount of money from me. And this is costing me opportunity. So it says, and put them to trouble that helped them. So I helped him and now I'm in need of financial help. Till he hath received, he will kiss a man's hand, and for his neighbor's money he will speak submissively. So once again, you're humble when you ask to borrow money, but then when it's time to pay back, it's a different story, and you're going to see. You'll kiss a man's hand and you will speak submissively. But when he should repay, he will prolong the time and return words of grief and complain of the time. oh, it's not a good time. I'm going through this financially, that financially, this, that, and the third. It's always a fucking problem when it comes down to collect a debt. If he prevail, he shall hardly receive the half, and he will count as if he had found it. If not, he hath deprived him of his money, and he hath gotten him an enemy without cause. When I read the scripture, man, this is literally a lot of the people in my life. See, that's why the Bible has so much wisdom. Now you create an enemy. Now this person that has borrowed all this money from me, trust and believe, like, one of these days, I'm not his enemy, but one of these days he's going to get a double dose of reality. Because I'm going to really fucking curse his ass the fuck out. He payeth him with curses and railings, and for honor he will pay him disgrace. Many therefore have refused to lend for other men's ill dealing, fearing to be defrauded. That's why I don't loan money. Like, I'm literally at the point in life right now where if you ask to borrow money, first off, you better have a certain level of closeness with me. I better really know you, and you better not fucking show none of this bullshit. But anyway, with that, I'm at Home Depot. I gotta go, purchase a few things for the job. I hope that this video is impactful, because if there's one thing that should not break up friendships, is money. Men, to begin with, why are you in a position where you have to borrow money? And why do you not take money loaned to you so seriously? I don't give a fuck if somebody loaned me $10. That $10 is coming right back to you as soon as I can possibly get it back to you. I'm sorry. I just believe in financial maturity. There's a lot of men out here that are not financially mature, and a lot of times their immaturity will come across as they're taking advantage, and they don't mean to, but to not skate the fine line between whether you're taking advantage or you just a brother in need, try not to need. Remember that your bills come first. Your bills, some of you, I'm a treasurer of a church. If you don't fucking pay tithes, you know what I'm saying? I'm just going to automatically assume that you're never going to need help. That's just the way it is. Niggas are stingy. But being a treasurer here, being a treasurer in the House of Israel, and when I was in the Pan-African Student Union, the treasury wasn't from the students. It was from the school. But one thing I could tell you, balancing budgets and shit, men are fucking cheap. It's not that men are broke. Men are just fucking cheap. And I've noticed that. And it's okay if like I said, if you're a brother that doesn't pay tithes, this is another example. Don't never fucking need help. Because even if you do get the help, you're still going to be like, looked at as a fucking deadbeat that needed fucking help. But I'm telling you, money makes everything awkward, man. And I'll tell you another personal story. The same person that I keep alluding to that owes me a lot of money, when I finally fucking confronted him on it, I didn't give him a whole double dose of reality, but I did tell him, like, yo, you over here fucking owing me money and you taking your sweet time to pay it back. And he's like, oh, you worship money. I would never put money over our friendship. Nigga, what? Oh, man, if there was ever a time I wanted to punch somebody in the fucking face, I want every single one of you brothers that watch this video that owe somebody money, pay them the fuck back, man. Pay them the fuck back. Call whoever you owe money to and say, hey, Ak, I know that I've been slacking, but I'm going to work on paying you back. I actually have a friend, close friend in the world, and he's stingy as fuck. But I'm going to be honest with you. He is, but he's not. But one time he said something about somebody asked to borrow money and, or some shit. And he said, out of all my friends, if you ever were to borrow money, I would gladly loan it to you. And he said, and I'm not trying to big myself up, but this is what you want for your reputation. He said to me that if I couldn't pay it back, I would actually beat myself up. Because you want that spirit. You want a spirit of accountability. If you have trouble paying a brother back, you would actually feel bad. You wouldn't stop hearing from me until I paid you back. But anyway, I hope that helps. I hope brothers start making better choices. And, I don't want nobody to take this video and say this is about me or whatever. No, this is to help you. This is to help everybody that is in the situation. Because you got some good brothers that are just bad with money and might borrow money, and just have bad habits when it comes down to paying it back. But it shouldn't be. The same fucking happiness and the same humbleness that you showed, humility, sorry, English major. The same humility that you showed when you asked to borrow the money, you should pay it back with the same cheerfulness and humility. Because, listen, you're paying it back to somebody that might have said, hey, you know what? This is going to set me back a bit, but I'm going to help this brother. Think about who you borrow from and what they were willing to sacrifice. Because, like, the person that I've been talking about, if that person were to just say, yo, bro, listen, you've done me a solid loaning me this money and not pressuring me to pay it back. I've never given you credit for it. I'm going to pay you back as soon as I can, but I want to let you know that I appreciate everything you've done. If I was to hear that, not an occasional text message saying, yo, from the bottom of my heart, no, but actual appreciation. And also appreciation is don't ask to borrow anymore. Start paying it back. That's appreciation. If I loan you money or anybody loans you money, if you want to show somebody you appreciate it, never ask to borrow money again. Put yourself in a situation where you don't need to borrow money again. But one thing that Israelites do, and I notice, Israelites will say, you know what, I'm just not going to borrow from that brother again. I'm going to borrow from this brother, and I'm going to borrow from that brother. And these brothers don't know each other. I've seen that happen too in Israel. But anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom, man. Again, don't let money be the downfall of a brotherhood or a friendship, because it's just tough. It's tough. The scriptures tell you that a brother offended. Matter of fact, let me see if yep, here we go. Proverbs 18:19. A brother offended is harder to be won than a strong city, and their contentions are like bars of a castle. Why is that? Because a brother that's offended a lot of times has a lot of reason to be offended. So those contentions are like the bars of a castle. Like, you can't penetrate, a castle or a strong city because of the strong bars. You can't. A brotherhood that's broken and a brotherhood that a brother betrayed a brother, that's a tough situation. Or a brother that feels betrayed. Notice it said a brother offended. So it might not be even an actual brother that's actually been offended for a good reason. Sometimes you're offended because of your perception of what someone has done. Don't offend each other, man. Be very careful offending one another. A lot of times, I limit my jokes with certain brothers, because I know that if I get a little too jokey, and me, I'm goofy as hell. If I get a little too jokey, what I'm saying, you might feel a certain way. That's brotherhood, man. Brotherhood isn't, test his heart. I got this former friend, and I've talked about him a lot. He used to purposely piss me off and then put his hand on my chest and say, test his heart. Nigga, I'm about to test your jaw. I'm actually mad now that I didn't beat his ass a long time ago. You know what I mean? But, don't offend each other. And much less let the offenses be over money. I don't give a fuck and this is one thing that Israelites have a bad habit of doing. Hey, you think I could get a few dollars? You choose your words carefully. If somebody gives you money, pay them the fuck back. Even if it's, hey, he came through for me in my time of need. Well, now when you don't need, pay that fucking money back. Treat everything that somebody else works for, that they put in your hand, treat it as a loan. Even if they in their mind they're giving it to you. You know, I pay back people for things that they don't expect money back for. You know, like I got a close friend. We go to Buffalo Wild Wings a lot to watch really the Knicks. Even though I'm a Celtics fan, you know, he's a good friend of mine, so I'll go watch his team. And we always fighting over the bill. You know, he's always trying to find excuses or whatever to pay the bill. And I am too. And it gets to the point where we do some spy versus spy shit. I'll go be like, yo, I got to use the bathroom. And on the way to the bathroom, I'll stop this fucking waitress and give her my fucking debit card. Say, don't accept shit from him. And he does the same shit. You know, be that type of friend or both of you do that shit. You know, that's the way you're supposed to be, not fucking money grubbing. And you know what I'm saying? Like, look, a lot of you niggas are fucking stingy. I can't borrow money from you, but you can borrow all fucking day. No, that's not the way it is. You know, but anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom.